used to think my Grandma Aurora was an open book, her life laid bare like the sunlit pages of a well-loved story. With her gentle laughter and blue eyes like a summer sky, she wrapped me in warmth, sharing tales that danced through my childhood. Each word seemed to paint a picture, vibrant and full of life, yet there were shadows behind those stories that I never quite understood. She would sit in her favorite armchair, the one that creaked softly as she settled in with her knitting, a bouquet of colorful yarn spilling from her lap. The smell of lavender always lingered in her home, a calming scent that embraced you like a hug. Aurora had a way of making everything feel safe, reminding me that love could withstand even the fiercest storms. Little did I know, then, that her heart carried secrets, whispers of a life that stretched far beyond the warmth of our afternoons together. After she passed, I found myself wandering through the attic, a place I had only visited in childhood, when the promise of adventure beckoned. Dust motes danced in the shafts of light, and the air was thick with memories, both tangible and elusive. I stumbled upon a wooden box, intricately carved and nestled beneath faded quilts and forgotten toys. Its surface was cool against my fingers as I lifted the lid, a sense of anticipation prickling my skin. Inside, I discovered a leather-bound diary, its cover worn and edges fray, as if it had been held countless times by hands that knew the weight of its words. A scent of aged paper wafted up, a mixture of ink and time, drawing me in with a gentle tug of curiosity. As I flipped through the pages, the faded ink seemed to whisper, urging me to uncover the stories hidden within. With each turn of the page, I felt a jolt of awe, a realization that Grandma Aurora's life had been a complex tapestry woven with love and sacrifice. She had lived through a world of turmoil, holding secrets that shaped not only her existence, but the legacy she left behind. My heart raced as I read of a forbidden love, a connection that transcended the barriers of time and circumstance. There were tales of wartime sacrifices, moments when courage triumphed over fear, and a longing that echoed through the decades. I sat there in the dim light of the attic, surrounded by the scent of dust and memories, my heart swelling with a mix of pride and sorrow. How could I have known that the woman who had taught me to bake cookies and to embrace life with open arms had also carried the weight of unspoken burdens? Each word revealed a side of her I had never seen, a depth that pulled me closer, yet reminded me of the distance that had always existed between us. I was overwhelmed by the complexity of her past, the narrative richer than any fairy tale I had ever heard. The realization sank in that this diary was more than just pages filled with ink. It was a portal into a life filled with dreams, heartaches, and enduring love. I could feel her presence in the room, as if she were sitting beside me, guiding my hand as I turned the pages, urging me to understand the woman she had been before she became my grandmother. As I read on, I understood that her stories held a promise, a revelation that would connect generations, weaving our lives together in ways I had never imagined. I could sense the weight of her legacy, the threads of her choices and sacrifices stretching beyond her own lifetime into mine. It was a beautiful and daunting realization, one that echoed through my heart. If you would like to walk this path with me, to uncover the powerful secrets that shaped Grandma Aurora's life, a life that intertwined with love, resilience, and hope, then I invite you to stay close. Together, we will explore the depths of her heart and the lessons she left behind, embracing the warmth of her spirit as we delve into the pages of her hidden diary. Willow Creek in the late 1930s was a place where the days unfolded gently, wrapped in the warmth of the sun and the soft murmur of the wind through the trees. The scent of freshly tilled earth mingled with the sweet aroma of wildflowers, creating a symphony of nature that danced around the small, modest homes scattered throughout the town. Children's laughter echoed through the streets, a harmonious backdrop to the rhythm of daily life, where neighbors greeted each other with knowing smiles and waves. In this tranquil setting, young Aurora lived with her family on a small farm, a patchwork of lush green fields and golden crops swaying in the breeze. Her father, a sturdy man with calloused hands, tended to the land with a devotion that mirrored the love he held for his family. Her mother, a gentle soul with a nurturing heart, filled their home with the aroma of freshly baked bread and the sound of soothing lullabies. Together, they created a sanctuary of warmth and affection, where laughter was abundant and stories were shared at twilight. Aurora was a girl of wonder, her heart as expansive as the open sky above. She often wandered through the fields, her bare feet feeling the cool earth beneath her as she traced the paths of daisies and dandelions, lost in her imagination. Every rustle of leaves whispered secrets. Every fluttering butterfly beckoned her to follow, as if the world around her was alive with possibility. Yet nestled within her vibrant spirit was a quiet yearning, a flicker of restlessness that danced just beyond her reach. Her older brother, Thomas, was the embodiment of dreams taking flight. With a heart set on the skies, he spent hours in the barn, sketching designs for airplanes and speaking of distant places he wished to explore. Aurora admired him, her eyes wide with admiration, yet a twinge of longing stirred within her. She often found herself staring at the clouds, imagining the adventures that lay beyond them, feeling an unspoken connection to a world she had yet to discover. Lily, her younger sister, was a poetic soul, weaving words into whimsical verses that echoed the beauty of their surroundings. Aurora cherished the moments they spent together, nestled under the old oak tree that stood sentinel in their yard. With the sun filtering through the leaves, they would share stories, dreams, and laughter, the bonds of sisterhood wrapping around them like a warm embrace. Yet even in these moments of joy, a sense of longing would linger in Aurora's heart, as if she were meant to become something more than the quiet life they led. The days were marked by simple routines that painted their lives in hues of contentment. Mornings began with the soft crowing of roosters and the gentle clucking of hens, as Aurora helped her mother gather fresh eggs and prepare breakfast. The family would sit around the wooden table, sharing stories over steaming bowls of oatmeal and fresh fruit, the sunlight streaming through the window, illuminating their faces and filling the room with warmth. Afternoons were spent in the fields, where Aurora and Thomas would help their father with the chores. The earth was rich and fertile, and the air buzzed with the sounds of crickets and the distant hum of bees. Aurora would pause to watch the clouds drift lazily overhead, her thoughts drifting alongside them, pondering the vastness of life beyond Willow Creek. As twilight descended, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold, the family would gather under the stars, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of fireflies. Aurora would lie on the grass, her heart swelling with a mixture of peace and longing, as she listened to her father recount tales of the constellations, each star a reminder of the dreams that flickered in the darkness. Yet, even amidst the beauty of their lives, Aurora couldn't shake the feeling that she was meant for something more. It was a quiet ache, a whisper in her heart that urged her to seek beyond the familiar, to explore the threads of destiny woven into the fabric of her life. She often found herself gazing at the horizon, her mind dancing with the possibilities of adventure, feeling as if the world had secrets it was waiting to share with her. Those peaceful days in Willow Creek, however, were but a fragile veil over the challenges that lay ahead. The winds of change were beginning to stir, and as Aurora reveled in the warmth of her family's love, a storm was brewing in the distance. The echoes of war whispered through the air, a distant rumble that would soon touch their lives in ways they could not yet fathom. But for now, she held on to the beauty of her world, the laughter of her siblings, the gentle embrace of her parents, and the dreams that danced just out of reach. Each moment was a treasure, a slice of life that would forever be etched in her heart. And as she closed her eyes under the blanket of stars, she dared to dream of the adventures that awaited her, unaware of the path of love and sacrifice that would soon unfold. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a golden glow over Willow Creek as the scents of baked bread and fresh-cut hay wafted through the open windows of our home. This was my world, a place where laughter echoed in the fields and stories were shared over the dinner table. But as the days turned into weeks, I began to notice a shift in the air, like the faintest whisper of a storm brewing on the horizon. It started with the radio. My father would sit by the window, his brow furrowed in concentration as news reports crackled through the speakers. At first, the distant rumblings of war seemed like a far-off thunder, something we could ignore while tending to our gardens and watching the stars twinkle above. But with each broadcast, the echoes of conflict began to infiltrate our daily lives. Whispers at the market grew louder, the townsfolk exchanging worried glances and hushed conversations about brothers and cousins who had already shipped off to fight. My mother's hands would tremble slightly as she folded laundry, a silent worry painting her features. Thomas, ever the adventurous spirit, watched the world unfold with a glint of excitement in his eyes. "Can you imagine, Aurora?" he would say, a grin lighting up his face. "The stories we could tell. It's like a grand adventure waiting for us." He had always been the dreamer, the one who found excitement in the unknown, while I felt something deeper stirring within me, an unsettling awareness that our idyllic lives were teetering on the brink of something I couldn't quite grasp. My parents, on the other hand, were gripped by a growing fear. "It's not just stories, Tom," I'd overheard my mother saying one evening, her voice low and trembling. "It's our children we have to think of. What if they're called? What if they don't come back?" Their worry seeped into the corners of our home, mingling with the familiar warmth, creating a tension that was impossible to ignore. I spent my days caught in a whirlwind of emotions, restlessness clashing with my longing for the simple joys of Willow Creek. The fields that once felt like a comfort now seemed to cage me. I no longer wanted to simply daydream about the world beyond. I yearned to understand it, to grasp the shifting tides of fate that threatened to sweep us all away. What was safety, I wondered, in a world where war was knocking at our door? Then came Elias. He arrived like a sudden gust of wind, a young man in uniform whose presence seemed to change the very fabric of our small town. I first saw him at the market, standing tall and proud, his posture straight, and his eyes the stormy blue that held secrets I could only begin to fathom. He was different from the local boys. There was a weight to him, a quiet intensity in his silence that drew me in like a moth to a flame. As I stood by the vegetable stand, my heart raced when our eyes met. There was an unspoken connection, a flicker of curiosity that passed between us, leaving me breathless. I wondered about his story. What brought him to Willow Creek? What burdens did he carry beneath that crisp uniform? In that moment, I felt the stirrings of something deeper than mere intrigue. It was a spark of connection, a promise of adventure, and perhaps of danger. "Excuse me, miss," he said, his voice soft, but say, "Do you know where I might find the best apples around here?" I could barely muster a response, lost in the depths of his gaze. There was something in his tone that made me believe he wasn't just asking for fruit. "The orchard just outside town has the sweetest ones," I managed to reply, my cheeks flushing. "He should try their honeycrisps." "Thank you," he smiled, and there was an electric charge in the air, a moment suspended in time where the world faded away. I felt a stirring in my heart, a realization that Elias was not just a passing figure. He carried with him the weight of a world unraveling, a connection that would soon entwine my life with choices I had never imagined I would face. As the days turned into weeks, I found myself seeking him out, our paths crossing more frequently as the murmurs of war grew louder. He would often share snippets of his life before the uniform, tales of family and dreams that felt so far removed from the simplicity of my own. I listened, enraptured, while a part of me wondered what darkness lay beneath his charming smile. I sensed there were layers to him that he kept hidden, secrets lurking just below the surface. "Why did you join?" I asked one day, my curiosity getting the better of me. "It was a choice," he said, his expression shifting as if he were weighing each word. "A way to protect what matters most." I wanted to delve deeper, to unearth the truth behind his guarded demeanor, but I could see the shadows cross his face, a fleeting reminder that some stories were too heavy to share. With every chance meeting, my heart danced to a rhythm I had never known. Yet, with every laugh, every shared glance, there was an undercurrent of unease, an awareness that our time together was fleeting, that the world outside was shifting in ways we could not yet comprehend. Whispers of enlistment filled the air, and I could see the toll it took on those around me. Friends were leaving, families were changing, and love was being tested in ways that seemed cruel then unforgiving. I felt the weight of it all pressing down on my shoulders. the loss of innocence palpable in the air. And so, with Elias by my side, I stood on the precipice of a new reality, a world where danger and romance intertwined, where every moment felt like a choice between the comfort of home and the allure of the unknown. The horizon stretched before me, a vast expanse, filled with uncertainty, but in Elias's presence, I found a flicker of hope. Perhaps in this tangled web of love and sacrifice, I could discover my own strength, my own voice amidst the encroaching storm. In the dim light of the old barn, where the scent of hay mingled with the cool evening air, Aurora found solace in the quiet moments she shared with Elias. Their secret meetings, once filled with tentative glances and shy smiles, had blossomed into something deeper, a connection forged in the fire of uncertainty and hope. As they sat together, their fingers brushed, sending a shiver of warmth through her. In that fleeting touch, the worries of the world outside faded, replaced by the tenderness that wrapped around their hearts like a gentle embrace. "Aurora?" Elias began, his voice barely above a whisper, laced with a mix of fear and determination. She could see the shadows in his eyes, the weight of secrets he carried like a heavy cloak. "There's something I need to tell you." The urgency in his tone pulled her closer, her heart racing as he sensed the gravity of his words. He took a deep breath, his brow furrowing as he struggled to find the right words. "I'm not who you think I am. I'm a deserter, a German scientist who turned against the war," he confessed, his gaze locked onto hers, searching for understanding. "I fled before I could be forced to create weapons that would destroy lives. Now I'm hiding from both sides, hunted for my choices." Aurora's heart ached, expected this position, the weight of his truth settling heavily within her. She had sensed his complexity, the layers beneath his charming facade, but hearing it lay bare sent shivers down her spine. "Why are you telling me this?" she asked, her voice trembling, caught between the urge to shield him and the realization of the danger inching closer. "Because I need your help," he said, urgency threading through his words. "My mentor, a clockmaker, left behind clues to an encryption device, an artifact that must not fall into Nazi hands. It could change the tide of this war, and if I can find it first, I can make a difference." As he spoke, Aurora's mind raced. The implications of his confession weighed heavily on her. She had always dreamed of adventure beyond the fields of Willow Creek, yet now that dream was intertwined with the perilous reality of war. "But what if they find out?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper, fear creeping in. "What if they come for you?" Elias reached for her hand, his grip firm yet gentle. "I won't let anything happen to you, I promise. But I need someone I can trust, someone who can help me decipher the clues. Together, we can find the artifact and secure it. You have a brilliant mind, Aurora. You can help me." His words ignited a spark of courage within her, yet the shadows of doubt lingered. She thought of her family, the warmth of her home, and the safety they provided. "You don't understand," she murmured, her heart torn. "If we get caught, it could mean everything to my family. They would suffer, and I can't bear that." "But you can't just stand by and watch while the world burns around you," Elias urged, his voice filled with passion. "You have the power to make a difference. We can do this together." As the moonlight filtered through the barn, casting a silvery glow around them, Aurora felt a shift within herself. She was no longer merely an observer of the world. She was at its heart, faced with a choice that would define her. The diary her grandmother had left behind echoed in her mind, whispering a strength and resilience. "Okay," she finally agreed, her voice steady with newfound resolve. "I'll help you, but we have to be careful. We can't let anyone know." Their mission began with hushed conversations, late-night meetings, and stolen moments, each one deepening the bond that had formed between them amid the chaos. As they pieced together the clues left by Elias's mentor, they uncovered a hidden labyrinth beneath the old church, a place where time seemed to stand still, shrouded in dust and mystery. When every step they took into that world of secrets, the danger grew closer. Aurora felt the tension in the air, the sense that they were being watched. Whispers of Nazi agents infiltrating Willow Creek reached her ears. Rumors of men, disguised as civilians, lurking in the shadows, ready to strike. The familiar streets felt foreign now, each face a potential threat, every corner a reminder of the war that loomed just beyond their peaceful lives. One evening, as they traced the intricate designs of the clockmaker's sketches, Aurora glanced up at Elias. His brow was furrowed in concentration, the light from the lantern illuminating his features, casting shadows that danced across his face. In that moment, she realized how deeply she cared for him, how his dreams had intertwined with her own. "What if we don't find it?" she asked, vulnerability creeping into her voice. He paused, looking up at her with a mixture of determination and tenderness. "We will find it, Aurora. I promise you that. But even if we don't, we have each other. That's what matters most." As their fingers intertwined, Aurora felt the weight of the world shift. She was no longer just a girl dreaming of adventure. She was a woman on the precipice of something greater. Each entry in her diary became a testament to her transformation, a chronicle of love blossoming amid fear, and a record of her growing resolve. She wrote of her worries and hopes, her struggle to balance the safety of her family with the call of the unknown. In the quiet moments, as she penned her thoughts, she reflected on her grandmother's legacy, the strength that had been passed down through generations. The name Aurora felt like a ghost, whispering to me from the shadows, reminding me of the person I used to be before everything changed. The diary lay open on my desk, its pages stained with tears I hadn't realized I had shed. It became my sanctuary, a place where I could pour my pain without restraint. The words were jagged, raw, and broken, a stark contrast to the neat and tidy narrative I presented to the world. I couldn't let anyone see the depth of my sorrow, the rage that churned beneath the surface. To my family, I was merely grieving, but they did not know the truth that squeezed my heart in a vice grip, that Elias had not merely died, he had been taken from me, a victim of a war that clawed at the very fabric of our lives. I wore the mask of normalcy, a facade that crumbled more with each passing day. Elias's death was spun into a story of an accident, a sanitized version of events that left no room for the reality of how he had fought, how he had protected me, and how, in the end, it had cost him everything. I smiled through the pain, offered comforting words to my family, but inside I was a tempest, a raging storm that no one could see. The artifact weighed heavily in my pocket, a tangible reminder of the dangers still lurking in the shadows. I began to see the world differently, noticing the way the light shifted in the corners of rooms, how whispers carried secrets, how trust felt like a fragile thread, fraying at the edges. The burden of secrecy was suffocating, yet I clung to it, desperate to protect Elias's legacy, to ensure that his sacrifice would not be in vain. As the days turned into weeks, something began to stir within me, a small, flickering flame that defied the darkness of my grief. It was not revenge I sought, but rather purpose. I found his notes tucked away in a drawer, the coded entries in his diary revealing a deeper layer of understanding, a spark of knowledge that ignited a determination I hadn't thought possible. It was a lifeline, a reminder that there was still work to be done, that I could honor him by carrying on his quest. I began to study in secret, slipping away to the dusty section of the local library, the smell of old paper and ink grounding me in a world that felt increasingly surreal. Each map, each reference, brought me closer to him, to the man I had lost and mission we'd shared. I could almost hear his voice guiding me through the pages, urging me to uncover the truth, to stand strong in the face of the unknown. In Elias's old room, I let myself linger longer than I should have, inhaling the scent of his things, the worn leather of his jacket, the faint trace of tobacco in the air. I traced my fingers over the maps he had drawn, the notes he had meticulously penned, each one a testament to his brilliance and the life we had fought for together. I was still grieving, but I was no longer adrift. I was becoming something new, something that carried the weight of his memory with quiet strength. As I turned the pages of the diary, the words began to shift in my mind. They were no longer just a reflection of my pain, but a call to action, an invitation to step into the light of purpose that had begun to emerge from the depths of my sorrow. The silence that had once been suffocating now felt like a canvas, waiting for me to paint a new narrative, one that honored Elias, one that would not end with his death. With every small discovery, I felt the seed of resolve taking root in my heart. I was not just a woman mourning the loss of a love. I was a protector of a legacy, a guardian of secrets that could change the course of history. The world outside was still dangerous, still filled with shadows, but I would no longer allow myself to be paralyzed by fear. Instead, I would embrace the quiet strength that was beginning to define me. Step by step, as I ventured into the unknown, Elias had given everything for a cause greater than ourselves, and I would carry that torch forward, not in the loudness of action, but through the whispers of memory, research, and the deep resolve that was slowly crystallizing within me. I was Aurora, and while the silence of loss still echoed in my heart, it was now accompanied by the soft, steady pulse of purpose, guiding me into the future. The city felt sprawling and indifferent as Aurora stepped off the train, her heart heavy with the weight of her past, yet pulsing with a quiet determination. The streets were alive with the hurried footsteps of strangers, the distant hum of conversations blending into a symphony of anonymity. It was a world far removed from Willow Creek, where every face was familiar and every glance carried the echoes of her grief. Here, she was just another shadow, a whisper in the crowd, and she relished the thought of being unseen. Finding a modest room in a small boarding house, Aurora surrounded herself with books and papers, the remnants of Elias's teachings scattered across the small table that would become her sanctuary. Each page of his diary was a lifeline, a tether to the man she loved and lost, and she immersed herself in his words, deciphering his cryptic notes as if they were the key to unlocking her own heart. Hours melted into days as she delved into the intricacies of the artifact. A device that had once seemed so distant and abstract now became her singular focus. As she pored over volumes in dusty libraries and sought out discreet consultations with scholars who were as wary of the world as she was, the artifact's true power began to unfold before her. It was not merely an encryption device. It was a potent intelligence tool, capable of unraveling enemy codes and anticipating their next moves. The knowledge twisted within her, a blend of fear and exhilaration, as she realized the magnitude of what she was safeguarding. The weight of such responsibility was daunting, yet it ignited a fire within her. With every passing week, Aurora transformed. The timid girl who had once wept for the loss of Elias was now a determined guardian, honing skills that would have seemed impossible just months ago. She trained herself to observe, to blend into the background of a bustling cafe where she might overhear whispered secrets, to decode messages that arrived wrapped in layers of deception. She learned the art of discretion, how to slip through the cracks of the world unnoticed, and how to gather information without ever raising suspicion. Yet, with each victory came an echo of loneliness that clawed at her heart. The nights were the hardest, when silence wrapped around her like a shroud and the shadows of her new life whispered reminders of her solitude. She would sit by the window, the glow of a street lamp casting flickering patterns on the walls, and in those quiet moments, the memories of Elias would flood back. His laughter, the warmth of his embrace, the promise of a future that had been so cruelly stripped away. But even in her sorrow, she found strength. She could not afford to falter. The world was watching, and the artifact was still at the center of a dangerous game. The constant threat of discovery loomed over her like a storm cloud. Whispers of the Nazis' relentless pursuit reached her through the grapevine of the underground, tales of men who would stop at nothing to retrieve what they believed was theirs. One afternoon, as she walked through the market, a chill ran down her spine. A man lingered too long, his gaze too probing, his demeanor too casual, yet calculated. Aurora's heart raced as she instinctively ducked into a narrow alleyway, her breath hitching in her throat as she pressed her back against the cold stone wall, straining to hear his footsteps fade into the cacophony of the market. In that moment, she understood the gravity of her mission. It was not just about preserving Elias's legacy, but protecting the very fabric of hope against a tide of darkness. She had become a guardian, a self-taught spy in a world where trust was a luxury she could not afford. The lessons she learned were etched into her mind, how to navigate the labyrinth of human interactions, how to read the subtle shifts in a person's posture, how to discern truth from lies in the slightest inflections of a voice. As the weeks turned into months, Aurora's emotional resilience grew, tempered by the fire of her purpose. Each small success fueled her ambition. Each narrow escape bolstered her resolve. She became the shadow that danced along the periphery of danger, always on alert, yet more alive than she had ever felt before. The loneliness remained, a constant companion, but it was no longer a burden. It was a reminder of why she fought. One evening, under the dim light of her room, she sat cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by her notes and the diary of Elias. The pages whispered secrets to her, urging her to understand the full potential of the artifact. As she connected the dots, a revelation struck her. It was not merely about the past or the present. It was about the future. The knowledge she held could change the course of history, could turn the tide against the very forces that sought to snuff out the light he had fought for. With renewed vigor, Aurora took to her studies with fervor. She crafted meticulous plans, outlining how to use the artifact's capabilities to their utmost advantage. She practiced her skills, honing her ability to blend in, to disappear into the crowd, and to gather crucial intelligence without drawing attention. Day by day, she morphed into the protector she was meant to be, her heart a blend of grief and fierce love for a man who had sacrificed everything. Yet even as she built her new identity, the specter of danger never left her side. The realization that she was always a target lingered in the back of her mind, a reminder of the stakes at play. Every encounter, every stranger on the street could be an enemy. But it was this very uncertainty that propelled her forward, instilling in her the fierce determination to not only survive, but to thrive in the face of adversity. And so, as Aurora looked out at the city that had become her home, she felt the weight of her past intertwined with the promise of her future. She was no longer just a grieving young woman. She was a force to be reckoned with, a guardian of secrets, and a beacon of hope in a world shrouded in darkness. With the memory of Elias guiding her every step, she embraced the challenge ahead, ready to carve out a new destiny amidst the shadows. As the war drew to a close, a palpable sense of tension began to lift. Aurora sat at her small wooden table, the sunlight streaming through the window, casting a warm glow over the diary that had become her constant companion. Each page held the echoes of her past, the sacrifices made, and the love she had fought to protect. The artifact, once a weighty burden, now sat nestled inside a delicate music box, its soft melody a reminder of Elias and the hope they shared. Aurora had played a crucial role in the war effort, transmitting vital intelligence that frustrated enemy plans and influenced strategic successes. Each piece of information she gathered felt like a thread in a grand tapestry of resistance. She learned to navigate the shadows, seeping through the cracks of a world engulfed in chaos. There were moments of sheer terror when she felt the weight of the world on her shoulders, and others filled with quiet triumph, knowing that her efforts were making a difference. In the midst of one particularly tense mission, Aurora had managed to decipher a coded message that revealed the enemy's plans for an impending attack. The relief that flooded through her when she delivered that intelligence to the Allied forces was indescribable. It felt as though she had momentarily lifted a veil of darkness, allowing a glimmer of light to shine through. Each victory, no matter how small, fortified her spirit and reminded her of the purpose behind her clandestine life. With the war's end, the world around her transformed. The sounds of celebration echoed through the streets, mingling with the bittersweet cries of remembrance for those lost. Aurora felt a complex mix of emotions. There was relief, yes, and exhaustion from years spent in the shadows, but also a profound sense of accomplishment. She had played her part, not only in honoring Elias's legacy, but also in safeguarding countless lives. As the dust began to settle, Aurora found herself drawn back to Willow Creek, the place where her story began. The quaint town, with its familiar streets lined with blooming cherry blossoms, welcomed her like an old friend. She settled into a quieter life, one filled with purpose, yet marked by an air of tranquility that had been absent during the years of conflict. Aurora devoted herself to helping others affected by the war, teaching children who had lost their families and offering solace to those who had endured great suffering. The artifact, once a symbol of her burdens, transformed into a treasured relic of love and sacrifice, carefully preserved in the music box that played the lullabies Elias had once sung. It became a centerpiece in her home, a testament to the extraordinary journey they had shared. When the children came to visit, she would open the box, allowing the soft notes to drift into the air, filling the room with memories of resilience and hope. Time flowed gently, and Aurora blossomed into the wise, serene grandmother known to the narrator. Her hair, now silver like the moonlight, framed a face etched with lines of laughter and sorrow, each wrinkle telling a story of a life fully lived. She possessed a quiet strength that radiated warmth, her presence a balm for those around her. As she shared tales of her past, her voice would dance like the wind through the trees, weaving a narrative rich with wisdom and compassion. The narrator often marveled at how a seemingly simple life could hold such profound depth. The diary revealed layers of Aurora's experiences, the extraordinary courage behind her everyday actions. It was a testament to the quiet battles she had fought and the love that had sustained her through the darkest of days. With every turn of the page, the narrator came to understand that beneath the surface of a gentle grandmother lay a force protector who had once navigated a world of shadows and secrets. As the seasons changed, Aurora found solace in the simple pleasures of life, gardening in her vibrant yard, sharing meals with neighbors, and tending to the needs of those around her. She had transformed her pain into purpose, her past into a legacy of hope. A laughter of children filled her home, and the warmth of community wrapped around her like a comforting embrace. Reflecting on her extraordinary journey, Aurora realized that love and sacrifice had shaped her into the woman she had become. She was not merely a guardian of secrets, but a beacon of strength, guiding others through their struggles. The music box, with its sweet melody, became a symbol of healing, a reminder that even in the face of darkness, there was always a way to find light. And so, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink, Aurora would sit with her grandchildren, sharing stories of bravery and resilience. She spoke of Elias, of the artifact, and of the war, not as a tale of despair, but as a testament to the enduring power of love. In her heart, she carried the memories of those who had fought alongside her, their spirits intertwined with her own. In the quiet of her home, surrounded by laughter and love, Aurora felt a profound sense of peace. She had emerged from the shadows, transformed and renewed, her legacy woven into the very fabric of the community she had helped to heal. The diary, now a cherished heirloom, whispered the truths of her extraordinary past, a reminder that even the most unassuming lives can hold the weight of history and the promise of hope. As I sat in the quiet corner of my room, the soft light filtering through the window, I held Aurora's diary in my hands, its pages worn and delicate, yet brimming with the weight of a life lived in the shadows of history. Each word seemed to pulse with the essence of her spirit, inviting me to delve deeper into her world. I had always known her as Grandma, a figure of warmth and wisdom, but now, as I turned the pages, I began to see her not just as my grandmother, but as a woman forged by the fires of conflict, resilience, and love. The stories I had once heard as a child, tales of courage and sacrifice, now resonated with a depth I had never comprehended. What I had thought were simple fairy tales transformed into profound metaphors for her extraordinary journey. The brave princesses, the fearless knights, and the battles fought against darkness were not mere fantasies. They were reflections of Aurora's own life. I could see her in every character, her spirit woven into the fabric of those tales, whispering lessons of strength and hope that I had only begun to grasp. As I read through the diary, I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude for the legacy she had left behind. It was not merely a collection of secrets or accounts of espionage. It was a testament to her quiet strength, her unwavering love for her family, and her commitment to justice in a world marred by chaos. Each entry revealed layers of her soul, painting a vivid picture of a woman who had navigated the complexities of war while nurturing the dreams of those around her. The sacrifices she made were etched in every word, and I understood now that her true legacy lay in the wisdom she shared, the stories that flowed like a river of resilience, connecting her to me and to generations yet to come. I felt a profound connection to her struggles, recognizing the echoes of her challenges in my own life. The fears I faced, the moments of doubt, and the search for purpose were not so different from what she had endured. Aurora's journey became a guiding light, illuminating the path ahead and reminding me that the strength to persevere dwells within us all. In her sacrifices, I found the courage to confront my own uncertainties, and in her stories, the inspiration to rise above the mundane and embrace the extraordinary. As I reflected on her life, I realized how important it is to honor our hidden stories, to bring them to light and share them with those we love. Aurora had shown me that within the quiet corners of our lives lie narratives rich with meaning, waiting to be uncovered and cherished. Her diary became more than a historical account. It was a mirror reflecting the universal truths of love, loss, and resilience that bind us together as human beings. With each page I turned, a sense of peace washed over me. I felt clarity emerging from the depths of my heart, a renewed purpose blossoming within. The diary, once a mere collection of words, transformed into a treasured guide, a roadmap of sorts, leading me through the labyrinth of my own experiences. I understood now that to share our stories is to weave connections that transcend time and space, to create a legacy that endures long after we are gone. In the gentle embrace of Aurora's words, I found solace. I had unlocked a treasure trove of wisdom and love, a reminder that even in the darkest times, there exists a flicker of hope. As I closed the diary, I promised to carry her stories forward, to honor her legacy by sharing her journey with my own children and their children. I would tell them of the fierce woman who fought not just for her survival, but for the future of all those she loved. In doing so, I would ensure that Aurora's spirit continued to resonate through the generations, a beacon of courage and compassion lighting the way for those who follow. Her life was not simply a story of the past. It was a living testament to the enduring power of love, the strength of the human spirit, and the importance of remembering where we came from. As I nestled the diary back into its place, I felt a gentle warmth enveloping me, an echo of Aurora's presence reminding me that I too am a part of this beautiful narrative. Her hidden life was now entwined with mine, and I felt an unbreakable bond, one that would guide me through the challenges ahead. I understood that every story matters, that every life lived is a thread in the fabric of our shared humanity. In this realization, I found hope. Hope that as we uncover our hidden stories and share them with the world, we too can inspire resilience and courage in others. Aurora had taught me that love transcends time and space, that our experiences, though shaped by our individual journeys, are interconnected in ways we often fail to see. And with this understanding, I embraced the legacy of my grandmother, a legacy that would forever illuminate my path and the paths of those who come after me. In the quiet corners of Willow Creek, where the whispers of the past blend seamlessly with the laughter of children, Aurora's life stands as a testament to the power of love, sacrifice, and the quiet strength found within each of us. Her journey, marked by the shadows of war and the bright light of resilience, teaches us that even in the darkest times, one can find a spark of hope. Aurora, a guardian of secrets, transformed her pain into a purpose that transcended her own life, illuminating the paths of those around her. As a young woman, Aurora faced unimaginable loss with a courage that many would find hard to muster. Elias, the love of her life, became a memory, yet his spirit lived on within her, guiding her actions and decisions. She became a beacon of strength, not just for herself, but for countless others affected by the ravages of war. Her ability to turn grief into a mission to protect and serve speaks volumes about the human capacity for resilience. It is a reminder that the stories we carry within us, often hidden from view, hold profound lessons waiting to be shared. As time flowed on, Aurora settled into the comforting rhythms of life in Willow Creek. She became a wise grandmother, sharing tales that, at first glance, appeared to be mere fanciful stories for her grandchildren. However, as her granddaughter discovered the hidden diary, the layers of those tales began to unravel, revealing the depth of Aurora's experiences. Each story was a thread in the fabric of her life, woven with love and sacrifice, and her granddaughter filmed reflections of her own struggles and triumphs within those pages. This connection between past and present serves as a powerful reminder of our shared humanity. Aurora's life, while unique, resonates with the challenges and victories we all face. It teaches us that our stories, no matter how seemingly ordinary, can carry extraordinary weight. They can inspire, comfort, then connect us in ways we may never fully understand. The revelations within the diary not only honored Aurora's legacy, but also ignited a spark in her granddaughter, encouraging her to embrace her own journey and share her truths. If you felt the warmth of Aurora's story, you are part of a legacy that transcends generations. Each story we share enriches the tapestry of human experience, ensuring that the lessons learned do not fade away, but rather grow stronger, echoing through time. When we choose to listen to one another, to embrace the tales of our ancestors, we breathe life into their memories and honor their sacrifices. Please leave a like if Aurora's story moved you. Your support helps keep her spirit alive and encourages others to explore their own narratives. As you reflect on Aurora's life, consider what secret she may have held closest to her heart. What unspoken words lingered in the silence, waiting for a moment of courage to be shared. In sharing our stories, we create a bridge to understanding and compassion, fostering connections that can heal and uplift. Subscribe to our channel to hear more heartfelt tales that inspire and resonate, and share your thoughts below. What lessons do you carry from your own experiences? Each comment is a thread in the ongoing story of our collective journey. Let us remember that every life lived, every story told, is a testament to the indomitable spirit of humanity. Aurora's legacy is not just hers. It belongs to all of us who dare to share, to listen, and to connect. As we walk forward, may we carry her courage in our hearts, ensuring that her light continues to shine brightly, guiding us through our own trials and triumphs. In the end, it is the stories we tell and the love we share that resonate most deeply, creating echoes of hope that will inspire generations to come.